All righty. Oh, whoops. That isn't going to work. Oh, sudden. Whoops. Got a glitch. All righty. Alrighty, hello, and welcome. I'm Doc Hogg, and this is Comics and Variety Sunday, the absolute best Comicsgate show on Sunday because it's pretty much the only Comicsgate show on Sundays.
That's how you own your time slot.
It's easy to be number one when there's no number two nipping at your heels, right, John?
I like it.
My guest today is John Hervey. It's very nice to have you with me, sir.
Appreciate it, Doc. Appreciate you having me on.
Well, yeah, I appreciate it too. And let me bring my screen back up. I'll just briefly mention Tilt here, and then we'll get right into Magna. Okay. Yeah, Tilt Part 2 is now live. Have up to 39 backers. I'd love to get to 40 by the end of the day if you haven't backed it yet. And just to let you know, I was made aware yesterday that for people who were backing the PDF version, the digital copy, only $5, that it was if you bought it on and you were outside the United States, there was a $20 shipping fee, which I must have goofed. At any rate, it has been corrected now. Basically, what you do with Indiegogo is once people buy it, and some people in the U.S. bought the digital copy, you can't actually make a change. So what I do, you just hide it, and then you create another another perk or another tier, which is what I did here. So I've actually had like 4 or 5 people claim the digital copy. It's reset to 0 because I had to put it up as a new perk. But if you are overseas, by overseas I mean not in the United States, which would include Canada or Mexico, which are obviously not overseas. But at any rate, yeah, it's available, and still a lot of the original art, the reissue cover art, the variant cover, and the deck of cards art are still available. The Vic King's tribute to Graveyard Shift is now sold out. So is the one of the tiers where you get drawn into the comic, but a lot of those tiers are still available as well. And one in particular is ideal for a female character. I was actually asked about that yesterday on Carla Tornielli's stream. She's like, well, what do you mean female? Because there's what 2020 means with female.
Oh boy, here we go.
And I responded, well, there's what 2020 means, and there's what Doc Hogg means, and Doc Hogg doesn't care too much about 2020. I don't know why anybody cares about what 2020 has been a total poop of a year. So why do you care what 2020? If 2020 could actually think something, why would you care what it thinks? So at any rate, back Tilt. And let's move on to now.
Tilt, baby. I'm waiting for the second one.
Yeah, it's going to be good. All right, let's move on to Magna, John, the Last Pantheon. And yeah, tell us about this.
All right, so this is a story for those of you that backed Black Tiger. Thank you very much, because this is in the same universe as Black Tiger. So in this story, it's basically our protagonist. Her name is Carrie Skogsholm. She finds her world turned upside down when she learns that she's adopted. And in search of her parentage, she ends up going on a very fantastical journey. The setting is 1942, so you have the backdrop of World War II that's going on. She starts off in Idaho, in a fictitious city called Tree City, Idaho, and she makes her way to Finland. And from Finland, it is she goes on and beyond, finding herself in Asgard and other places of myth. So it's really a hero story. kind of her story of becoming a hero. And in the midst of all this, she finds herself in league with a league of disheveled band of deities of old, mighty men of old. And they're the last of the mighty men of old, and they're fighting for their survival. And her appearance and her calling to them is part of their last attempt at survival. So hers is a story of becoming a hero. It's also a story of survival. So it's going to be a fun ride. I really hope that people will sign up on the list and give it a go.
Yeah, do sign up. Do sign up. The link to it is in the link to the sign up page is in the description below. The signups are important because it gives us a way to contact people directly when the comic is live, and let people know that it's live. And we do get a lot of you'd be surprised the number of backers we get out of it. I mean, maybe you wouldn't be surprised, but we do get some backers out of that. And it's a really big help when you're first launching, because, John, sometimes you just really, when you're first launching, your fingernails are like, you're biting them to the quick, or you're white knuckling it, and you're like, I want this to be successful. And then, you start getting some backers, and you start to feel a little bit of relief, and, not to mention gratitude. So
big time.
Yeah.
And it feels like it's a game of momentum too. And you know how it is, Doc. It's like you get a backer or two, and then you feel like you start gaining some momentum, and you just don't want the ball to stop rolling. Then when it does, you got to start to get the ball moving again.
Yeah. Well, I'm in that spot right now. I mean, the ball had been moving great the first 3-4 days, and the last 2-3, it's slowed, and and that's where I'm at right now. And I know the momentum will get moving again, but you just don't know exactly when. So
Yeah, but the community is a great community. People, it's interesting. There's so many books out there now, so many great books. When I talk with folks, people will earmark books. Oh, well, I need to make sure I get this by then. Like with your book, I bought it early, and I'm pretty much doing one of the two. I'm either buying a book early or I'm buying it close to the end. Which for me, as somebody's creating books, it's like, I hate to do that to folks, but I hate it being done to myself. Like, you're going to pick up the book, but you're going to wait until the end. That's man. You're trying to get your numbers moving, but sometimes just financially, I'll pick up a certain number of books. I'm like, okay, well, I know the times that these other books are going to be, coming. So it's for anyone that is supporting books or looking to create a campaign. If you're supporting a book and your plan is to support and you have the ability to do it, it's great for the creator if you do it on the earlier side. And it's also great for momentum, because sometimes, like, this has never happened for me, but I heard that you can sometimes get a little bit of momentum actually from the platform itself, if you can get some momentum for your book. Now, I've never experienced that for myself, but so I've been told. so I've been told.
The supernatural here, and their survival. Can you give us a little of the backstory there?
Yeah. So in terms of the supernatural, there's and I know there's been a number of stories that kind of have touched on that kind of Genesis 6, Nephilim, kind of you have supernatural creatures that may be, depending on how people look at it, may be a combination of, matings between maybe angels and people. And I have my own kind of twist and take on that, but it's definitely, a tale that, at least in the universe that I've created, kind of reconciles some of the supernatural beings that live in this world. If people read it, hopefully they won't, feel like I'm trying to take undue license of things. But as a creator, I'm utilizing these references and these things that I have, I've studied and I've looked into, and I've created my own world.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
Shall we take a quick look at the video here?
Yes, let's do that.
All righty. Do it on YouTube where we can bring it up.
Alrighty. Welcome to Tree City, Idaho. The year is 1942. the air, but times are tense as the world finds. Welcome to Tree City, Idaho. The year is 1942. Spring is in the air, but times are tense as the world finds itself at war. While high school senior Kari Skogsholm finds her provincial life unfulfilling, her parents are eager to keep their lives and, most importantly, their extraordinary daughter under the radar as long as they can. But time is not on their side. They prepare to flee to protect Kari, but something within her compels her to stay and take a stand. It's time to learn truths that have been kept from her, be it out of love or fear or something else. It's time to answer the calling upon her life, whatever that may be. So her journey begins, and things would never be the same. But Kari's story finds its roots millennia prior. The men of renown, known as the sons of God, and the daughters of men in the first and second heavens, joined with raised arms one last time, combining all the power that they had to command. In the heavens, above the world, the last stand of these mighty men was also the last appearance of the agents of destruction, until their reemergence in 1942. Kari must learn the truth about herself, determine the end game of these supernatural agents of destruction, and how to stop them before all is lost.
Nice. Very nice.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, that's a nice video. I like it. I like the music. Just everything works about that. Let's see. You have. I'm sorry. What were you asking, Charles? Sorry, I got a quick.
You gotta handle that. That's business right there.
Well, no, I can't move my chair a little bit. I got to sit here and do a show, silly. Okay, is this a little better? Okay, let me see where.
is that acceptable now?
Yeah. Okay. I just don't want to be up to the screen like that. So, all right. Let's take a. You have pencils by
Marcio Abreu.
Marcio Abreu. Tell us a little bit about how you met Marcio.
So Marcio is actually a part of a studio called Comic-Con Art. I found them online a number of years ago, and kind of the headliner for that studio is Ed Bennis. Mm-hmm. So he's probably the one artist that people know best from that studio. But also other artists from that studio include Diego Bernard, who does a lot of pencils for Lady Death, for Polito's book. Mm-hmm. And he actually did a very small amount of the pencils for the Black Tiger book, filled in for a few pages for Rod, but Rod did the majority of them. But Marcio's great. He's done work on like Red Sonja, Warlord of Mars. So he has very much that kind of high fantasy kind of feel to his art. He draws the creatures and the women and everything the way that I really wanted to see them drawn. Mm-hmm. In this project. So he's been just excellent, excellent to work with.
How about your colorists? Omi, is it Omi? Or
yeah,
Omi and Vinicius.
So Omi is a guy that I met just through the online community. He's a really good artist. He's a really good colorist. And Omi is actually in the Philippines. So the book is digitally colored. So I've been working with him. So this book is fully produced. So this volume is 66 pages, and the next volume is going to be another 66, and all 132 pages are fully produced. And Omi, it was if you break it up into 22-page issues, he colored the first 5, and then Vinicius colored the last issue. And Vinicius has done he did some of the colors on Black Tiger, and he's kind of picked up as kind of the new colorist for Black Tiger, because as people get the next volumes, you're going to be seeing more and more of his work. He's another excellent digital artist, a digital colorer, and he's part of that Ed Binnis Studios as well. So these have been just great folks. You know, there's the guy who kind of manages Ed Binnis Studios, is stateside, a guy named Court, and really easy to work with. You know, and that's at the end of the day, you know, you want to find people that are, of course, excellent at what they do, but also share that love and that passion, you know, for comics, and, you know, are people that you can work with. I mean, it sounds silly and cliche, but it's like, you know, I want to make this, I want this to be this labor of love. I want to work with other people that see it as such.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I hear you on that. I mean, the very first artist I had for Tilt, it just didn't work out. He wasn't able to, you know, he said he could have things done at a certain time and they weren't getting done. And, you know, finally he kind of said, "Do you want to move on?" And I was, you know, like, yes. So, hey, no.
You almost have to cut your losses and just keep moving. You know?
Yeah, you know, and sometimes with some people, you know, I've also had the experience where I was about ready to cut it off, and suddenly they come through, and you know, you know, things get a lot better. And but yeah, being able to work with people and is that's
it's huge.
It's cliche, but it is huge. It is huge. So.
Are you still going to have is Marcos Lima doing the pencils for the second?
Yeah. Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
That's good. I enjoyed his artwork, so that'll be. I'm glad to hear that.
He's a good artist, and I'm going to try to hang on to him for issue 3, and really for as long as Tilt can run. And at some point, I'll have to start making some money on it, but you know, that'll come. You know, it's just, you know, it's a matter of you know, just time, really, and you got to keep pushing ahead. So
I think you and I are in the same boat. You know, it's like, you know, just continue to show ourselves diligent, continue to put out, you know, strong content, and continue to build the fan base. It's a really grassroots movement.
Yeah,
and you know, and then you just kind of pick up folks. Like I thoroughly enjoyed the book, so it's like you pick up folks, and then, you know, hopefully the attrition isn't too much and you pick up some new ones and you just kind of keep the ball rolling.
Yeah, for me, it's persistence. And part of persistence is a willingness to be a little pesty at times, saying, "Can I get on your show? Can I get on your show?" Which I don't particularly like doing, but, you know, it's just something that I have to do because you just, you know, you aren't going to get people's attention that you need to get unless you are a little bit persistent. And it's just how it is. You have to just keep grinding away at it. And, you know, it's like trying to get your numbers up on YouTube, which is important because, you know, that's a potential customer base there, but you have to put out regular content. There's just, you know, I've seen all these YouTube videos that supposedly show you these tricks. And for the most part, they might help a little bit marginally, but they're not going to get you, you know, 5,000 subscribers within a couple of days. There's the only way to do it is to just, you have to put out regular content. That's it.
You know, and that's actually been the biggest deterrent to me, honestly, in establishing my own channel is just, you know, the consistency that you have to be. And, you know, just like, you know, folks that have channels like yours and just, you know, being just consistent in putting out the content. And I realize the importance of it. You know, John Malin and many others have spoken about it for a very long time. Yeah. And I probably should have started doing this a couple of years ago. But one of my things for probably Q4 going into Q1 is to actually just start, you know, I want to post and have a show but make it relevant. You know?
Yeah, no, I get it. And you know, everybody wishes that they were one of the first ones in, like, you know, your boy Zach, who was the first one to do it. And so his, you know, didn't take long for his channel to take off. And, you always want to be one of the first ones in on something that, you know, there's actually a lot of latent demand out there for. But, you know, you know, but on the other hand, he's put in the work on his channel, and even someone like EVS, whose channel, you know, shot up very quickly, but, you know, he's already been in the industry for 20 years. I mean, he's put in the work. You know, you go to his channel and he's able to talk about, you talk about all this stuff so effortlessly because, you know, he's been there, he's put in the work, and he's been to, you know, he was at, you know, early on. I mean, he tells the story about how he wasn't making that much from DC, but the way he had to do it was to go to conventions and sign and, you know, maybe make $1,500 over a weekend. And he said he missed one of his son's birthday parties because of that, but he had to do it. You know?
Wow.
Yeah, you know. So he's put in the work, and that's really, it's just the only way to do it is you got to keep putting in the work. I mean, and the consistency is hard. It is hard. I hear you on that. It is tough because I like to do the produced video. I feel far more comfortable doing that because, you know, I can type out the script. I can make sure it flows logically. When I do the, when I do a live stream, I do a lot of ums because I'm trying to, you know, jump from one thought to the next. I also have a tendency to see, I'm doing it now. It's like, okay, what point am I trying to make here? All right, I'm at point A, I'm at point B, I'm about to jump to point C. Oh wait, did I get the connection between A and B right? Maybe I need to jump back. See, right. I do that. I do a lot of that, and I'm getting better because part of it is just you know, I'm doing 3 days a week. I'm just doing a short 15 to 20 minute show, and I'm getting better at it. But it's, you know, I look at someone like Ethan Van Sciver or a John Malin or a Cecil, and just how it seems effortless. I know it's not effortless. I know they work at it. I mean, they must. And some of it's just, you know, they've gotten better over time because they do it regularly. But you know, I prefer the produced video. The problem is that, you know, you can't get those out, you know, once a day. It's just not possible.
Not possible.
And you know, I'm trying to do 2 produced videos a week, and I'm gonna have one coming this Thursday. That is actually, I've managed to trace a lot of the CG projects over this year. I know my list is not complete, but I'm going to be able to tell you, give you a rough estimate of how much money Comicsgate projects have raised this year.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And some very, there's going to be some, I think, pretty interesting statistics on it. You can guess who the big guy is. You can guess who the second biggest guy is. But the way it looks is, it's, you know, there's about 20% of the campaigns are really dominating in the sense of making the bulk of the money, and then there's the rest of
it's the 80-20 rule.
That's exactly what it is. It's exactly what it is. It is the 80-20 rule. It's exactly it. But the rest of us are just like, you know, there's a number of us who are just, you know, we're in the 20% of we're in the 80% of funders who are making 20% of the money, and we're, you know, we're kind of, you know, everybody else is out in front of the race, and we're kind of trying to catch up and maneuver and stuff like that. And, you know, you never know exactly who's going to be the next, you know, because nobody's on top forever, right? I mean, it's that top 20% can shift a lot over time. You know, we don't know exactly who's going to be the next big campaign.
Hey.
We don't know who's going to be the next big one. We don't know who's going to be the next big one.
Exactly.
But you know, it's I mean, there's just some interesting numbers, and I had to make some adjustments to it. Like, some of them had launched in 2019, and I didn't know what their numbers were on the last day of 2019, so I just adjusted. I know there were some of them made a little bit in 2020, some of them made a lot in 2020. I just took their overall number and multiplied it by 10%, and then just used the 10% number, which I figure is a very conservative estimate. So I mean, I won't give the overall number. I'll say this, that Ethan had it at, he wanted us to get to 10 million. He thought that would be a good number. He mentioned that early in the year. I'll say this, we are not hitting that, but I think, given that really Comicsgate is not even barely 3 years old, really, where we are hitting, I think, is pretty good. And things are looking good. So why don't we talk just briefly about, because you've still got Black Tiger Legacy of Fury open, and
I do.
Let me grab a couple of
things here in my hand as well while we talk about it. I actually have we have the hardcover where I've actually gotten the proof. Where did I put it? I wanted to actually show off the proof of that, but so I actually have the hardcover. You guys have seen, those of you that have ordered have seen the soft cover. The hardcover is somewhere around here, but it exists now. So it'll be going. It's getting printed and then sent for binding this week. So then hopefully the hardcovers will get into people's hands, and then after that we'll get the slipcase together, and we will have completed this campaign.
Yeah. Well, let me say that you're definitely getting your money, because I'm reading it. I've gotten about halfway through it. You got a long comic book here, and it is, which is good. I mean, you're getting your money's worth with Black Tiger: Legacy of Fury. The art is wonderful. It is as good as just about anything you're going to get out there in the mainstream when you go into a comic book shop. I mean, the art is just that good. The coloring is fantastic. He's got a good story. And this is not something, this is something you can, if your thing is to read if you want to sit back with your cup of tea or coffee or your Coke or whatever you enjoy, your adult beverage.
Yes.
we all like an adult beverage. It's the sort of thing that you can read over a couple of nights. Because John is really giving you your money worth here for $25. This is what it was, 172
pages. So
pages
it's
for $25. I mean, usually, it's like 70, 80 pages maybe for $25, which is not a bad deal, but he's giving you 172 pages for $25, folks.
Yeah.
And, look at some of this art. I mean, it is, this is as good as you're going to get in just about any professional grade comic book. I mean, it's just,
appreciate that. The soft covers that are already printed, we have 14 left. So we have 14 soft covers left. And then the hard covers, we already have, we initially were only going to print 40 of those. And we have 39 that have already been claimed.
Mm-hmm.
So we're either just going to print the 40 if in the next week or so, that's where we're at, or we'll add a few more if a few more people back. But we should, in theory, be closing this campaign before the end of the year, assuming we can sell those last 14 softcover books and that last hardcover book.
If I were to make one suggestion here, what you might want to do is with the paperback Tiger, remove that, hide that tier, and then replace it with 0/14. Because when people start to see, I noticed that I did that because I was running out of books toward the end, and so I said 0 of X left once I started going into demand, and so people were like, and I've sold out pretty much. I've got like, I don't know, 4 copies left, which I'm saving for myself, but and I've got like 1 copy left of the variant cover. So but yeah, that when people think, oh, it's running out, it's I think the psychological effect is so if you've only got 14 left of the paperback, I would, take that down, put a tier up saying 0/14, and then, send out your email saying, we've got limited number left. If you know someone who's interested and they haven't jumped on it, or, when you go to Twitter, say limited number left, only X, just do that. And
let folks know. Yeah.
Yeah. It's, you will, I think you've got a good chance of getting most of those 14 sold. And, like I said, 172 pages for $42 or for $25. That's quite the deal. That's quite the deal. Let's take a quick look at this video too.
Yes, sir.
Tiger. 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 Tiger.
I gotta roll this back just a second here. The first time I saw this, I'm like, oh man, you're making him look sexy in business suits. Yeah.
As we should.
Yeah, that's not a good thing to do either, but boy.
Oh man, I'll tell you, Greg Horn made that business.
And not
work.
leaving a whole lot to the imagination there, but that's okay.
There you go. That's the split and the split kick right there. Yes, sir.
All righty. That's great.
Thank you.
Oh, and Joe Exotic approved, guys. So
thank you, Joe.
That would have been awesome at the end. A little picture of him, Joe Exotic approved. You'd probably get sued for that, but
yeah, seriously.
Yeah. So, what inspired you to do Black Tiger? Was it like kung fu movies? Was it is it just where did the idea come from?
Well, I'm a big fan of Hong Kong kung fu movies. Was always a big fan. Back in the day, they used to have Kung Fu Theater, which show on network TV, and me and my friends, we would watch that, and we'd be emulating and doing all kinds of crazy stuff with these martial arts moves. So I've always had a love and affinity for martial arts, and I've always loved comics. And some of my favorite, I think they did it a lot more kind of like in the 80s and even I think mostly in the 80s, you'd have much more choreographed looking fights. Like Daredevil. Mm-hmm. Daredevil had some like because a friend of mine was a big collector of Daredevil, and they had some seriously well choreographed fights, and I've always loved that. I love the choreography in kung fu. I love the choreography, in a comic book when you have it. So that's part of what I wanted to provide was just some of that fun. It's a dance, that fun choreography that you see, in the fight scenes. And it's like, I figure if you read the book and then you're able to go back and you're able just to kind of look at the flow of the book without the words, you should still have a good feel for what's going on. And the fight sequences, you should be able to see the flow of the fight. So that was a big inspiration for me. At the end of the day, Doc, when you take the things that you love in comics and you try to put those elements into the books. Mm-hmm. So, that's the same. So, Black Tiger is my love of martial arts, of kind of the, grungy, street hero, who's protecting the city, and kind of even has some of those, a little bit of those John Woo elements. And that's really what's represented in that book. And then Magna, much more kind of a high fantasy book that I love, so you have much more of the, the superpower and the supernatural. I still like to choreograph the fights with those, but it's just much more devastating. It's like, it's like someone gets punched and they go through a wall, it's like, so it's a different kind of choreography and a different kind of action. But I love that stuff.
Mm-hmm. What? Let me also ask with Magna. What inspired that? Because that obviously is not exactly martial arts. Here, let me refresh.
Yeah.
This page.
So Magna has a number of things that I love and / find interesting. The World War II era is what an interesting and horrific time in history. And even doing a little bit of study, just seeing what was going on in some of the other countries. So we get to kind of touch on what was going on in the Netherlands in 1942. And that was of great interest to me. I love mythology. So, I get to touch on a number of different pantheons, touching on the Aesir, the Olympians, touching upon the Chinese pantheon, Egyptian, and, just so a whole bunch of things that I find interesting and intriguing, and a time era that I find intriguing, being able to kind of wrap all those up into one story. We're so fortunate and blessed in comics because it's like our budget is the same, no matter where we place our story, no matter what's going on in our story. And we can mash up so many different styles and genres, to tell a cool story. Even when I think about Tilt, I love the mobster, aspects of it. I also love kind of that magical, elements with the cards. And then it's like, well, there's 52 cards, there's 52 cards. So I'm thinking like, there's a lot more characters for me to still see.
I'm working on they're gonna I'm working on their personalities that you'll see more of that in Tilt 2, especially among the queens, it was I was for a little while a professional poker player, and I still love poker. And when I was thinking about this thinking about doing this comic, I was like, okay, I know cards, so why don't I start with something I know? And what could I how do I work this? I mean, what can somebody do with cards that would work in a comic book? And I thought, could they bring the use the aces in some way, or the deuces, and and finally it occurred to me, it's like the kings have swords, the jacks have axes. Why not make them come alive and use their weapons? And it's like, okay, now start building a story around it. And I was watching, I've always loved mobster movies. My favorite, of course, is The Godfather. Yeah. Second to that is Goodfellas. I know some people put Goodfellas above The Godfather, and I don't have any problem with that. I think you can make a case either way which one's the best one. And that's the sad thing about Goodfellas is it ran up against Dances with Wolves at the Oscars that year. So I don't even know how many Oscars it won, but not very many. But at any rate, which was a movie Dances with Wolves movie I enjoyed a great deal too. But at any rate, so it kind of converged, and it's not really a mobster book per se. The mobsters are a little more of the what's the term from Hitchcock, the MacGuffin a little bit, but it doesn't really delve that much into the mobster world. But I think I was also binge watching The Sopranos around that time too, so that also helped me. Was also inspired me, so to speak.
Yeah, it's funny. My 7-year-old daughter and I, we've been playing a lot of chess recently, and I like the elements that you have, in your story with the different. And I was just kind of thinking, like, kind of where you have a potential cross section between, like, the chess and the card playing, kind of the hierarchy of the cards, because I know that she's able to animate the characters in the cards, but there's a hierarchy even amongst the cards, which is, it just leads for, I think you have a lot of stories you can tell.
Yeah, there is. And I'm not
what you're creating.
Issue 3 will then lead into the next story arc in issue 4. I'm not going to talk too much about that, but the third one is probably going to involve tarot, or I keep mispronouncing. It's tarot cards. Someone suggested that, and I really like that idea. And so at some point I might. I think I'm going to bring tarot cards into it.
Of Card Wars.
So, yeah, there you go. So, all righty, let's take just a brief, because and we'll be brief about this. This was the Karen in San Francisco I talked about on my Friday broadcast, and I looked at this video. Basically, just really quick here, this couple, Lisa Alexander and Robert Larkins, approached this gentleman, James Juanillo, who was painting a Black Lives Matter on what looked to be a planter, flower planter box. And I guess they thought was it graffiti. And I looked at the video and I didn't really see, what the big deal was. Now, John here had a slightly different perspective, and I really, because I was not getting it, I wanted to I wanted to get John's perspective on it, because I wasn't. Let's see, was this?
I think it's that one.
It's this one right here.
Yeah,
let's just take a look at. We'll take a look at what happened here, and probably have to sit through a quick commercial. But yeah, and then John can explain what he thought was wrong with it.
The expertise that helps keep hospitals clean is helping keep businesses clean too. Look for the Ecolab Science Certified seal.
Yeah, we're going to have some buffering going on here.
Hi, I'm asking you if this is your property.
Why are you asking?
Because it's private property.
Because it's private property,
So,
sir.
are you defacing private property, or is this your building? You're free to express your
No,
opinions,
we
but not on people's property.
Okay,
absolutely.
Sure.
Just respectfully.
sure.
So we're just saying, absolutely, your signs and everything, and that's good. This is not the way to do it.
Okay.
It's private property.
But if I did live here and it was my property, this would be absolutely fine. And you don't know if I live here or if this is my property.
We actually do know. That's why we're asking.
Oh, really? Because you live here, right? You
No,
said so.
because we know the person who does it.
Oh, okay.
So
Then
that's all
I
we
suggest
wanted to
you
ask.
call
I'm
him
not
or
disagreeing with
call the
you.
police,
I don't
or
wanna call the police.
because
What do you
you're
want me
accusing me
to?
of a crime, correct?
What I'm asking you is why are you
And I'm
doing
not
this?
answering you.
Okay, that's fair.
Oh, wow.
So
You're
your
doing
choice is
great
either to
with
call
that
the cops
twirling.
if you
Dad, I'm
believe I'm
spinning.
calling a crime, and I would more than
You're
be happy
right.
to talk to him.
The Thomas High School. Yep.
Okay, so I've got some other
Switch
commercial
to
coming in
progressive and you
here.
can
So
save hundreds. Like the sign says.
where's that coming in? But at any rate, for you, the problem was the second they said that he was right there, where they said, we do know who lives there, when in fact this gentleman James Juanillo lived there. So to you, that was where they kind of crossed the line. Is that correct? Can't hear you. Do I have? You need to unmute your mic.
I should probably unmute myself.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, sorry about that. So yeah, I think that's where they probably got themselves in a little bit of hot water when they claimed that they knew who lived there, when in fact he was the one that lived there. I think that's where they got themselves. They kind of got themselves caught in a little something right there.
Yeah, I get that. Okay, that makes some more sense, because I kind of like, why didn't he just tell them that he lived there? He just said, if I do live there, then this is fine. And I do get the sense that she looks a little bit like what you consider, an entitled woman, a Karen, and he might be a Darren. I don't. It's a little hard to tell.
Is that a term? Is Darren a term?
Yeah, I've heard. Who's the guy who does those videos on Twitter? Steve McKinnon. It's not McKinnon. Steve Inman, I think is his name. He's hilarious. Go Darren and Karen. These people just want to get home. These people just want to get home to their stovetop stuffing. Yeah, but no, he's funny. And but okay, no, all right, mate. Because to me, it just seemed like they kind of saw someone who was maybe engaging in graffiti. I don't know. If I saw someone out, it looked to me when at the end you can kind of see the planter box, and it looks like he actually has quite a bit of painting equipment out there. So it's like, if he's doing graffiti, would he have that kind of? And it wasn't spray paint as far
right.
as
He wasn't.
it was a brush.
Yeah,
so,
he wasn't like.
Now I can kind of still give them. They wanted to know if he was engaging in graffiti. Okay, and I'll say this. But when you said that, though, when we were talking about it earlier, and you said that, I'm like, all right. I when they say that they know who lives there, and presumably they're lying because he did live there. I just, but the guy, the man lost his job with Raymond James. She's CEO of some company, and she lost her account with Birchbox. Like,
as a result of this?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's ridiculous.
Yeah,
I think part of the problem that we suffer from in this country is like we have such a low, EQ, emotional quotient in this country. And, it's like, so someone may come about something the wrong way, and they may make a mistake, but that shouldn't cost them their jobs. It shouldn't cost them their livelihood. If anything, it's like, hey, okay, well, you learned something, So it's like, take your learning, take your lumps, and then go on about your life. But this whole thing about just punishing people and trying to, because basically destroying people.
Yeah.
Every human being makes a mistake, but when you start destroying people, taking away people's livelihoods, that's absurd.
Yeah, there are fireable offenses. Had they used a racial slur, I could understand why, Raymond James would fire the guy. But I don't think what they did was a misunderstanding. They were a bit presumptuous, but I don't think they were being mean-spirited. And I just want to say, hi, guy. How are you doing? It's good to see you again.
Appreciate that, guy.
Yeah, I do too. It's always nice when
I'm just saying that, like, in general, everyone needs to show people grace.
Yeah,
we all need grace. Whenever we make a mistake, we want people to show us grace.
Yeah, and
or do something just flat out wrong. We want people to show us grace.
Yeah,
so that's
look, there's something to be said, for when you make a mistake that's really bad and losing your jobs. Occasionally, I think that should be the consequence. But there's also, we need to kind of change cancel culture into what I want to call forgiveness culture. And they did apologize, and then I think people should forgive them and say, and I'd be fine if Birchbox had sent the lady a warning saying, look, we understand mistakes are made, and we're not going to cancel you, but be very careful what you do, because you do this again, then it really reflects badly on us, and we're going to have to take more drastic action. I get that, but I think the response here was overblown. But no, I appreciate knowing that once they start saying that they know who lives there, that they stepped over a line there. All right. Fair enough. Okay. Let's. Well, why don't you just tell me a little bit more about Magna? Anything else that?
I put in the private chat a link, so I think you can take a sneak peek at the.
Let me give it a shot here.
Yeah, give it a go. The campaign page is under construction, so it's not fully built out. But I have some of the images from the campaign on that page, so that may be fun to look at. Like I said, the book is fully produced, so it's 66 pages. So it's going to be, I don't know if I'm ever going to make it.
Okay, it is coming up.
Oh,
it is
nice.
coming up. Outstanding.
So that's the same video. But if you scroll down, you'll be able to see kind of at least what I'm planning, and maybe even critique it a little bit. The first 3 images are the 3 potential covers that you can choose from. I think that price point is going to be lowered.
I think are you making a little bit of a play on Little Red Riding Hood here?
Well, it's a Little Red Riding Hood, and she's kind of like a Pippi Longstocking, Little Red Riding Hood.
More of that.
You know what I mean? So
she's lifting up a tank there. Okay, so
yeah.
Nice.
And and there she is, kind of, before that band of Pantheon members that are all, kind of trying to survive. And the thing I should probably put as a disclaimer: these are pages, but they're not. So you're just going from one page to the next, but you're not getting, like, someone may be trying to read it. You're not going to get you're just not the first 7 pages of the book. It's just different pages that I wanted to highlight throughout the story, just to show people just the level of art, the quality of the art, and that full production is completed, including the lettering.
Oh, this is good. This is really nice. Wow.
I appreciate that, man. So just like you, just trying to do a much better job of getting the word out you know, and you and I were talking about this before we got onto the stream. You know, you continue to build your presence online, your Twitter presence. But I mean, once you get to the place where you're, you know, looking to start moving your book, I mean, the shows are so important. And that's where this community is amazing. And, you know, even us sharing resources about whose show you've been on, those things are invaluable. You know, I feel like that's really where you pick up your momentum. You know, I can, you know, and the tweets are super important, but I really see traction from shows. You know, I feel like the tweets kind of remind folks, but then shows are where people seem to really commit.
Yeah,
say, like, hey,
you'll get some stuff from Twitter, but yeah, it's the shows that really count. So absolutely. So okay. Let's see. Do you want to take a quick look at the California video and the taxes?
Yes, as somebody who
hey everybody, welcome to Ryan Panetta.
Recently moved. My family and we moved from California a little over a year ago to Houston. Yes.
Okay. How are you liking Houston?
You know what? You know, all the COVID nonsense aside, we're actually enjoying it a lot.
Okay, that's good. All right.
Yeah.
Let's take a quick look. This is a real estate guy, flips houses. So let's see.
Panetta Show, we talk all things money, real estate, and entrepreneurship. And in today's episode, we're going to be talking about 2 different taxes that California is trying to impose on their residents. So it seems like everyone is trying to leave California. I talk to normal people who say that the cost of living has gotten so extreme that they cannot afford to live there. They're going to end up going to places like Vegas or Phoenix where it's cheaper, or even the Midwest where it's really cheap. I also talk to wealthy people who live there, and they are now trying to leave as well. You look at Elon Musk, and he was feuding with the county over his Tesla workers not being able to work. He ended up saying, screw it, I'm going to Austin, Texas. I'm going to build my factory there. You guys don't deserve me. And it seems really dumb that California would allow that to happen, but it's what they're doing. And if you can believe it or not, they're going to be adding new taxes that are going to make even more people leave. So let's talk about the first tax. As it stands right now, they have a state income tax of 13.3%. For reference, places like Las Vegas, where I live, have no state income tax. So if I make $1 million here in Las Vegas, I would just pay federal taxes on that million. If I go make $1 million in California, I pay federal taxes plus 13.3%. That would come out to over $130,000 extra. I can make money the same exact way, but I'm gonna pay California an extra $130,000. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not down with that. And I actually experienced this when I was flipping houses there. I remember when I flipped my first house in California, we were getting ready to close at the title company, and then they had me fill out basically a profit and loss form. They wanted to know how much I made on that property so that they could take their 13.3% right there. And I thought it was a mistake. I was telling the title company, I'm like, no. I don't owe them that. I don't live in California. We never do that in Vegas. And they said, no, any profit you make in California, you got to pay that 13.3%. And I was so shocked because in Vegas and other places where I flipped, anytime a property sells, I've never been asked for a P&L. It's just, they don't care. They just go about the title work and the deal is done. So I was super confused that first flip I did over there because I didn't know why they needed a P&L. Because even with federal,
really?
When you think of accounting and finance, what comes to mind?
Buffering.
Federal tax, technically, I don't have to pay it until I want to. Now, when I say that, don't take this as tax advice. I can choose when I want to pay the federal government their tax. I'm going to get penalized for not paying it on time, but typically that penalty is going to cost me far less than what I can actually use that money for as working capital. The way I look at it is the government is giving me a loan at whatever that penalty interest rate is. And if I remember correctly, it was around 5% or something. I can't borrow money at 5% with house flipping. You know, hard money lenders cost 9 to 10%. So to me, I would rather have the capital and pay the government an extra 5% to go pay them later. I don't pay them quarterly. I don't pay them April 15th. I wait till the very last second to pay them because I can use that money and make more money than the cost of being late. Well, California does not let me do that. They want their 13.3% right then and there. So like I said, the first time that ever happened, I was stunned. Now I know to expect it every time I sell a house in California. But the whole point is it is more expensive to do business and live in California. And that's not even from the cost of living perspective, just the tax perspective. And paying that 13.3% sucks, but that's what makes this tax they're now trying to implement even more mind-blowing. They want to raise that 13.3% to 16.8%. Crazy. Now every million you make, they want to take almost $170,000. If you're at that type of income level, you're giving away over half of your income to the government. I mean, I'm pro USA. I love my country, but I do not think my country deserves half the money I make, especially when we create so much other money for other people in the economy. We're hiring people, we're employing people, we're shopping at all these stores, paying taxes in all these different ways, and then to go pay 50% on the profit, it ain't right. But that's what California wants to do. I don't live there, I don't care. But I can tell you, if they do get this approved, you're gonna see a lot of people moving. That's gonna be the straw that broke the camel's back, for real. And that's only one of the new tax proposals. The second tax proposal is something I have never seen done. If I'm wrong, correct me in the comments, because I'm not sure if this has ever been done or not, but they are trying to tax the ultra wealthy based on their net worth. If you have a net worth over $30 million, they wanna tax you 0.4%. Now, I don't have to worry about that because I ain't worth $30 million. Hopefully one day I will have to worry about that, but I won't be living in California, so actually I'll never worry about it. But they want.
Hi, I'm Dr. Amy Killen. I have my own medical practice, and I've been using Doodly now for a few weeks.
All right, I think we'll just
watch
a little more of this.
0.4% if your net worth.
That's amazing.
Well, let's just talk about the minimum here. If your net worth is $30 million and you get taxed 0.4%, that's an extra $120,000 you're gonna have to pay them regardless of if you made money or not, because they're taxing you based on net worth. What about all the billionaires who are there? If you are worth $1 billion, you're gonna have to pay them $4 million just because. And I don't know if this is something that they would do every single year, but even if it was just a one-time deal, that's not right. Even if they get this passed, I'm not even sure how they could do it. How many people actually have a net worth that you can determine? There's so many assets that are held in so many different ways. I have no idea how California would audit it. You could have money outside of the country.
That's really, that last part in particular was really something. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I think he's right. I mean, how do you determine that? And what he goes on to talk about here is all the ways you can hide your assets, and make it harder for the government to presumably legally hide them, and make it harder for the government to determine your net worth. And yeah, I mean, how often are they going to, and presumably they'll do it more than once, because if your net worth is, say, as he says, $30 million, well, what if, a year later it's then calculated to be worth $35 million?
Right.
And are they just going to tax you on the difference between 30 and 35? Or are they going to take the full 35, the full 35, so you get hit twice? And yeah, I mean, 13 to 16%. I mean, 13% was that was really something, because I used to live in California. I grew up there, spent my first 23 years there, and but this was like in the early 90s that I went away to graduate school, and I haven't been back, but still have a lot of relatives out there. And that 13% just and as I recall, it was the voters who passed that. So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, but it's one of those things where, if they decided to go that route, you need to determine the market value for things, and a lot of these things are not publicly traded. So I mean, it's like it can be horrific. I mean, it's like, can you imagine if the government? This is pure speculation. But what if the government then required people? Okay, well then you need to get an appraisal on your house, right? Get a new appraisal on your house. So spend a few $1,000 to get an appraisal on your house. If you own a business, you need to get your business appraised. Right? Because how else do you know the value of a business unless you have a third party come in and appraise it? So, you're talking, thousands upon thousands of dollars potentially, to get a proper valuation on what your home may be, on what your business may be, just to be able to provide a personal financial statement so that you can be taxed on it.
Yeah.
I mean, that is, it's so wrong in so many ways. And at the end of the day, it's really, when the government needs to, when you're feeding a governmental machine that way, there's something fundamentally wrong with that machine. You know, and that's, you know, having, you know, I was born in California and only moved away a year ago, you know, I love California, but they've made it so difficult to do business there. They've made it so difficult to own assets there. They've made it so difficult. And I don't understand the end game, because at the end of the day, if you run away, you're middle class, and maybe they're running. And like you said, Elon Musk left too, just went a couple hours from here over to Austin. And I don't think that's going to be the only business to do that. You know, what are you left with? Yeah, really. Pretty much just the Hollywood and the you know, Silicon Valley stuff. But here's the thing with some of this is that I have a relative who was working for, was it UC Santa Cruz? It was either UC Santa Cruz or UC Santa Barbara. He was working there, administrator. She is a registered nurse. They could not afford a mortgage. They have one daughter. They could not afford a mortgage where they live. They had to have a 2-bedroom apartment, and then the not Corona, the Mexican beer virus, the COOF. Another problem. Different Corona. We you know, you can't, you got to be careful about saying that on YouTube. You know, the biggest thing to hit this country this year and probably the last 10 years, and you got to censor yourself on YouTube. Ridiculous. But at any rate, that's another tangent that I'm not going to go down. But he was able to work remotely and found out he can do his job remotely anywhere. So she has family in Massachusetts. She's a registered nurse, so she can get a job just about anywhere. And they're moving, and he's keeping his job, and he's going to Massachusetts. And it's kind of like, and where they're going to be able to afford a house. And it's kind of like weird where, you know, it's like, going to Massachusetts is more affordable than staying in California now, which is not something you would have thought. But you think, going to Arizona or Texas, but going to Massachusetts is cheaper. Well, you wouldn't think so, but they actually do have a flat tax in Massachusetts for income. And you know, it's kind of sad to see what's happening to the to the Golden State there. There are times I really do miss it, but I can't ever imagine going back other than to visit my relatives. So you know, that's kind of where we are as well. I mean, but it doesn't. Moving to Texas was like it was like getting an automatic raise. You know, between no sales tax, the price of, you know, I mean, no state tax, lower sales tax. You know, the price of fossil fuels is like, you know, almost half. You know, and granted, that's low everywhere across the country now. But it's like, and just lower cost of living and higher quality of living. And it's unfortunate. You know, I mean, I was born in California, and a couple of years ago, I mean, I could never imagine not living there. It just gets to a place where you're just like, the pros just don't outweigh the cons anymore. No, I mean, I went to college at Cal State Sacramento, and I loved Cal State Sacramento. I went on to get a PhD, and for a long time I was thinking about, you know, could I eventually get a job at Cal State Sacramento or someplace close by, because I loved Sacramento. I still like Sacramento, but you know, it's not going to happen now. And that's okay. I made different choices in my life, but you know, I just, you know, wonder if by the time, you know, I was ready to even give that, by the time I finished my PhD, had I been wanting to give that a try, I just don't know if, you know, I would have been able to by that point. So, but you know, it makes me wonder how much big tech is going to stay in California now that, you know, the pandemic has shown a lot of businesses how easy it is, or how, well, not necessarily easy, but how possible it is to work remotely. You know, exactly. There's going to be a lot of fallout from that, because a lot of businesses are going to realize, why pay for expensive office space downtown when, you know, we can have everyone. You know, I got a job. I was very fortunate. I got a job with the Washington Examiner
I'd been driving for Uber, working on the comic book. Uber, crashed when the pandemic hit in March, and then in April I got hired. I have always done writing for a living until a few years ago, and I needed a position that I fit into at the Examiner. Awesome. And it worked out perfectly. I got hired in April. I'm very thankful for that, but I've never been into their office. I have, other than some of the people who work there that I knew in previous iterations in my life. I've never met anyone who works there face to face.
Right.
And it's worked out fine. I do the job, and but a lot of, and it makes me wonder how long big tech is really going to stay there, and or at least whether they'll still start hiring off site and stuff like that. I mean, Google has this huge campus there, but why bother when you could save on real estate costs? So
exactly, and it's the real estate costs, but also there's extra expenses that they incur for their employees.
Mm-hmm.
Taxes that of course the employees paying extra tax, but so is the company.
Yeah.
They're paying extra taxes, when they're employing people in California.
Yeah.
So I don't understand the end game. I mean, you can't just thumb your nose at everybody, and I don't know what they're trying to achieve. Like in a certain regard, that's going to be devastating, not just to commercial real estate there, but I think commercial real estate, across the country is getting thumped, because businesses that are surviving are probably reworking their leases. They're going to a different model, maybe for folks that do go into the office, instead of having a dedicated office, you can have more of a hoteling model. When you need to go in those couple days a week, just take one of the spots that's available, bring in your laptop. You don't need to have your permanent desk there, so you have that, that's already happening. But then I look at a place like California, and I'm just like, so, what's your path? What is your destination? What is your path? If you're driving businesses away, what are you doing? And I can't understand it.
Yeah. All righty, let's make one more pitch for our comics here, and then we'll call it a show. Awesome. All righty, I've got Tilt Part 2. We are.
I got one right here in my hands. Good book.
Yeah,
already ordered 2.
And you can get a copy of Tilt Part 1 as an add-on. If you didn't get a chance to back Part 2, let's see if I've had any luck here. No, not yet, but it'll go. Back Tilt. Do sign up for Magna, the Last Pantheon. Anything else you want to say about this? You get a free digital copy.
You'll get a free digital copy. There's a good chance we'll make just like a card of the character as well for those that sign up early. Just as a nice giveaway, just a way to say thank you.
Gotcha.
For helping us get off to a fast start.
Yeah, and then you've also still got Black Tiger Legacy of Fury open. There's a limited number of paperbacks and hardbacks left, and it's great art, and it's just a great deal for the price. So
that's right. There's 14 of the softcover books remaining, and if we print what we are slated to print and we've agreed to print, there's only one hardcover left. so and then once those are all gone, then we'll close out the campaign.
Gotcha. All righty, sounds good. We'll call it a show. John, thank you so much for showing up, and really appreciate it. Thanks everyone to. I guess you got a. I just got another. You got another sign up. All right.
Appreciate that. Thank you, brother.
Guy. Okay. All righty. Bye, everyone. Let me just give a quick preview of the next week. John and I are going to do Indie Comic Stream on Wednesday, and we are scheduled to have Lenore show up to do color a page from Tilt.
Nice.
Next week, I'm going to do my C&V midday, Monday, Tuesday, and Friday, since I'll be in the showtime for Indie Comic Streams the day is being switched from Tuesday to Wednesday. So, all righty, that's all for now. Thank you very much, everyone, and have a great rest of your Sunday.
All right, everybody.